Have you ever held a simple quarter in your hand and wondered if that seemingly ordinary coin could actually be hiding an extraordinary secret, one that could connect you to one of the most fascinating chapters in numismatic history, a secret so impactful that collectors and coin experts alike have chased it for decades? Driven by the thrill of uncovering hidden rarity and value in what most would overlook as just spare change, because today we're diving deep into the story of a 1988 P. Washington quarter that doesn't just represent 25 cents but holds a mysterious and rare journey that transforms it into a $215 treasure. Yes, you heard that right, from pocket change to serious collectible. And before we get into every twist and turn, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell for future updates because what you're about to discover could change the way you look at coins forever. Starting with a coin minted in the year 1988 at the Philadelphia Mint, marked with the simple yet powerful P mint mark that so many overlook, but what separates this coin from millions of others lies in the small anomalies, the subtle mistakes, the minting errors, and production oddities that slip through the cracks and into the hands of a few unsuspecting people, now hunted by collectors willing to pay hundreds just to own it. And to understand how we got here, we need to revisit the landscape of U.S. coin production in the late 1980s, a time when coin demand surged. The U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins rapidly, and that haste led to minor oversights, like doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and weak strikes, all characteristics that in modern collecting could spell a major windfall, especially in the Washington Quarter series, where even subtle imperfections can mean significant value. And among those produced in 1988, the Philadelphia minted quarter with that elusive P has become a numismatic enigma for reasons both technical and historical, because while its mintage crossed over 562 million units, making it common in appearance, what makes certain 1988 P quarters exceptionally valuable are rare varieties and verified mint errors that only surface under the most meticulous inspection, such as a doubled die obverse where the words Liberty or In God We Trust appear shadowed or doubled, a defect that occurs when the die that strikes the coin shifts between strikes during the hubbing process, and in these cases, what seems like an optical illusion is actually a legitimate and certified error that collectors crave, and in pristine conditions, such as MS-66, MS-67, and in ultra-rare cases MS-68, these coins can fetch hundreds due to their rarity, population, and the sheer improbability of surviving 3 decades without wear. And imagine being one of the lucky individuals who unknowingly tucked one away in a drawer or passed it down as pocket change without realizing the historical and financial weight it carried. But the story doesn't stop at doubled dies because other 1988 P errors are just as captivating, including clipped planchets where a part of the coin is literally missing due to a metal blank overlapping during cutting, creating a crescent shape that is immediately identifiable and highly desirable, or the rarest of the bunch, off-center strikes where the coin design is visibly misaligned due to a misfed planchet, sometimes struck as much as 10% to 40% off-center, creating a partial image that turns a regular quarter into a showpiece. And some of these off-center 1988 P quarters have auctioned for over $200 due to their rarity and visual impact. But what also makes the 1988 P quarter fascinating is its transitional nature, as collectors speculate that some features from previous or following years, such as die usage overlap, repunched mint marks, or subtle design modifications, might have bled into 1988 production, creating transitional errors that are extremely limited and hotly debated among experts. And add to that the fact that 1988 was a prelude to significant changes in coin production technologies and die preparation methods that would define the 1990s, making this year an intriguing crossroads for numismatics. And all of this explains why condition matters so much, because even if you hold an error coin, if it's circulated and worn down, the value can drop sharply, which is why finding a mint state example, preferably certified by a third-party grading company like PCGS or NGC, is essential to unlock full collector value. And it's worth noting that PCGS has graded only a limited number of 1988 P quarters in ultra-high grades, making any MS-67 or higher example exponentially rarer and therefore more valuable. especially if it contains a verifiable error or anomaly. And let's not overlook how modern coin hunters are now scouring their jars, rolls, and pocket change specifically for this coin, increasing demand and awareness, driving prices up as more people enter the fold, and stories continue to emerge online about someone spotting a weird shadow on their 1988 P quarter under a magnifying glass, getting it authenticated, and being told it's worth over $200 due to a confirmed double die or off-center strike, stories that spark the imagination and keep collectors hooked, and beyond just errors. Let's talk about the sheer nostalgia and cultural weight a 1988 quarter carries, representing a pre-digital America, a time before smartphones and the internet, a coin that passed through soda machines, bus fare slots, arcade tokens, and laundromats, touched by history and now reborn in collector circles as a miniature relic of the past. And whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, the idea that something so small can hold so much intrigue is what makes coin collecting a lifelong passion for so many. And the 1988 P quarter is a perfect example of this magic, because it proves that not every valuable coin has to be gold, ancient, or covered in ceremonial detail. Sometimes it's the humble quarter, hiding in plain sight, that becomes the centerpiece of a collection. And as more 1988 P quarters are examined, authenticated, and appraised, we learn just how significant these coins truly are, not just in monetary value but in what they represent. The hidden layers of American minting history, the unpredictability of mechanical error, and the possibility that at any given moment, in any pocket, purse, or drawer, a tiny metallic mystery worth hundreds could be waiting to be discovered. And in the case of the 1988 P Washington quarter, that mystery has already captivated collectors worldwide, with documented cases of verified error coins selling for as much as $215, elevating its face value by 860 times and proving once again that history often hides in the smallest, quietest corners, like a quarter minted in Philadelphia in 1988. Next, 1992 P quarter dollar coin. Are you holding on to a forgotten 1992 P Washington quarter in your change jar? You might want to take a closer look, because this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth up to $147 today due to some astonishing details collectors can't get enough of. And before we dive deep into the story behind this rare find, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating discoveries in the world of US coins, because what we're about to explore will blow your mind and make you check every coin in your pocket from this moment forward, as the 1992 P quarter is not just any piece of metal but a symbol of hidden value and mystery. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint with the P Mint mark, this coin has quietly climbed in both numismatic and historical significance due to several rare characteristics, overlooked by most but treasured by seasoned collectors who understand the intricacies of minting errors, transitional strikes, and how a seemingly minuscule variation in a coin's appearance can skyrocket its value from pocket change to collector's trophy. And the 1992 P quarter exemplifies this phenomenon with known examples that feature striking anomalies including double die obverse, weak reverse strikes, misaligned dies, and off-center minting, all of which increase the scarcity and desirability of this specific quarter. And while millions were minted that year, only a few display these exceptional features, which is why coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified and cataloged several specimens that sold for over $100 in circulated condition, and up to $147 in well-preserved mint state, especially MS66 and above. And the more pristine the coin, the more astronomical the value becomes, with auction results confirming these trends over the past decade as collectors and dealers compete fiercely to secure premium examples for their inventories and personal collections. But it's not just the errors that contribute to the 1992 P quarter's value. It's also the context of its production in the early 90s, when coinage technology was evolving and transitional mistakes occurred more frequently than usual due to equipment shifts and die fatigue, meaning coins like this slipped through the quality control cracks unnoticed, quietly entering circulation only to be discovered years later by eagle-eyed enthusiasts who understand how to recognize elements such as die cracks along Washington's bust, extra metal on the lettering, or slight design shifts in the eagle's wings on the reverse. And these features tell a deeper story of the coin's journey from the mint to your hand, and add narrative weight to its value because every flaw is like a fingerprint, making each rare coin unique and unrepeatable, which is the foundation of what drives collectors to pay large premiums for them. And if you're wondering how to identify if your 1992 P quarter is one of the valuable ones, you need to examine it under proper lighting with at least a 10x magnifier. Looking first at the obverse where you'll find the mint mark, P, just beside the bust of George Washington, then inspect the word, Liberty, and the date, 1992. For any doubling, thickness, or spread between the letters and numbers, followed by the reverse where the eagle and United States of America can also show doubling or die deterioration, and pay special attention to the rims, which in some rare cases may show partial collar strikes or edge flattening due to minting pressure errors that are extremely desirable. And don't forget to weigh your coin, as the standard weight should be 5.67 grams. Anything significantly off can indicate a wrong planchet error, which can send the coin's value skyrocketing even more. And even if your coin has been in circulation, don't be discouraged, because many high-value 1992 P quarters show wear and still command top dollar based on the rarity of the error rather than condition alone, although condition certainly helps boost value, especially for collectors looking to complete error sets or assemble state-of-the-art error type albums that show off these marvels of American coinage history. And as you continue to search through change and coin rolls, always keep in mind that coins like the 1992 P quarter remind us that treasures can still be found in the most common places, and that numismatics is not just about age but also about anomaly, story, and scarcity. So next time you come across a 1992 P quarter, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Take a closer look, because that coin could be your entry into the fascinating and profitable world of rare coin collecting, where history, mystery, and money collide in every piece. So once again, make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned as we continue uncovering the hidden gems in American pocket change that hold more than just face value, because the quarter $1,992 PUSA coin and face value is $147 worth big money in history. Next, 1980 P quarter dollar coin. Today's story will shift your entire perception, because the seemingly ordinary 1980 P Washington quarter, a coin that millions of people held in their hands, spent on gum or soda, or stashed in jars and drawers over 4 decades ago, has a hidden legacy that turns it from pocket change into a collectible item now valued at up to $185 due to extremely rare errors and minting anomalies that escape the eyes of the United States Mint. And today, we are going to explore in great depth how a simple quarter from 1980, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and marked by a small p just above the date on the obverse, can skyrocket in value when its imperfections align with a series of rare production mistakes that collectors consider numismatic goldmines. And before we dive deep into the maze of doubled dies, clipped planchets, die breaks, off-center strikes, and transitional errors, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more extraordinary journeys into the hidden world of US coins that could be lying right under your nose. Now let's turn our full attention to the 1980 P quarter, a coin born in an era of transition in American minting when technological advancements and mechanical wear intersected, creating the perfect storm for unnoticed production flaws. And despite the U.S. Mint producing over 635 million quarters at the Philadelphia facility that year, only a minuscule number of these exhibit the rare conditions that elevate their value exponentially. And the first error to discuss is the famed double die obverse, a phenomenon where during the hubbing process, when the design is pressed into the working die, a misalignment occurs between multiple strikes, resulting in letters and digits appearing shadowed or doubled. And on the 1980 P quarter, these can be found most often in the inscriptions, Liberty, or In God We Trust, as well as in the date itself, and collectors who identify these doubling patterns using a jeweler's loupe or microscope can confirm their authenticity through expert grading services like PCGS or NGC, who verify and encapsulate these coins for both legitimacy and preservation, and the difference in value is staggering, with certified examples fetching as high as $185 or more depending on condition and eye appeal. And then there's the matter of die cracks, also known as die breaks, which occur when the striking die itself becomes worn or fractured due to overuse, leaving raised lines or bumps across the coin's surface. On 1980p quarters, these often appear near Washington's bust or along the rims and lettering, and while they might seem minor to the untrained eye, such irregularities are prized in the collecting world as they represent rare flaws in the minting machinery, especially when these cracks are pronounced or spiderweb in form, creating visual drama and uniqueness that makes the coin a conversation piece. And let's not overlook the off-center strikes, another category of errors that gives the 1980p quarter an edge in value, as these occur when the metal blank, or planchet, is improperly aligned in the striking chamber, resulting in a coin where the design is not fully centered. Sometimes this misalignment is minimal and subtle, but in extreme cases up to 40% off-center. Collectors pay hundreds for coins that display significant design loss while still showing the date and mint mark, a critical factor for authentication and valuation. And yet another fascinating variation is the broad strike error, a result of a coin being struck without the retaining collar that holds it in place, leading to an unusually wide and flattened coin that still shows all essential features but appears warped or oversized compared to standard quarters. And though rare, 1980p quarters with broad strike characteristics in uncirculated condition can demand impressive sums at auction due to their scarcity and physical distinctiveness. And then we must discuss the clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin is missing due to overlapping metal strips during the cutting process, creating a crescent or bite-shaped gap in the coin's circumference. And these are not to be confused with post-mint damage, as clipped planchet errors display specific characteristics like metal flow lines around the clip and curved rims. And when confirmed, especially on earlier date coins like the 1980p quarter, the value jumps dramatically, particularly when the rest of the coin is well struck and the clip is significant. And as we continue our journey, let's address another underappreciated rarity: coins struck on foreign planchets or transitional planchets, where the quarter was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination or metal composition, creating a coin without weight, tone, or diameter. And although extremely rare, there have been documented cases of 1980p quarters struck on planchets meant for nickels or even experimental metal blends, and these anomalies are often discovered through careful weighing or metal testing, adding an additional layer of intrigue and reward for observant collectors. And let's not forget machine doubling, though often confused with true doubled dies, which involves a slight mechanical shift during the strike that causes a less dramatic but still noticeable doubling effect. And while not as valuable as a true doubled die, prominent examples can still carry premiums, especially when combined with other errors or found in high-grade condition. And speaking of condition, it cannot be overstated how essential it is for value assessment, because a rare error in a coin graded MS65 or higher is often worth exponentially more than one that's circulated and worn. And considering the 1980p quarter is now over 40 years old, mint state examples are becoming increasingly rare. And those that survive with crisp luster, full details, and minimal contact marks are the ones that sell for hundreds, particularly when certified by reputable grading companies. And in auctions and private sales, we've seen examples of 1980p quarters with strong die cracks, off-center strikes, or double dies sell for upwards of $185, a shocking leap from their face value and a testament to the enduring allure of minting mistakes. And what makes this even more exciting is that these coins are not locked in vaults or museums. They're still out there, in circulation, in forgotten piggy banks, inside old change jars, or tucked away in the back of your kitchen drawer, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a little knowledge to discover their hidden value. And it's this blend of mystery, history, and the thrill of the hunt that makes the 1980p quarter such a compelling piece of American numismatic lore, and it invites everyone, whether seasoned collectors or casual observers, to take a second look at the change they handle every day. Because within those coins could lie a small fortune disguised as a simple mistake. And these stories continue to surface, tales of people discovering a strange-looking quarter, investigating further, sending it off for grading, and learning they've struck numismatic gold, not with ancient coins or rare metals but with a simple 1980p quarter marked by time, error, and a bit of minting luck. And that's the magic of this hobby. The potential for discovery is limitless. And as more people become aware of these valuable variants, demand will only increase. pushing prices higher and reducing the supply of available specimens, which in turn makes each surviving error coin that much more important, that much more prized, and that much more valuable. And whether your goal is to build a collection, make a profit, or simply enjoy the detective work of identifying rare coins, the 1980p Washington Quarter offers a perfect case study in how history, technology, and human error can combine to produce something far more valuable than intended, and it's that exact combination that makes certain 1980p quarters worth $185 today and potentially even more in the future. Next, 1990D quarter dollar coin. Today's exciting deep dive, we're taking you into the fascinating world of the 1990D Washington Quarter, a coin you may have passed through your hands countless times without realizing its hidden value. And today we're exploring how this seemingly ordinary quarter minted in Denver, bearing the D Mint mark, has shocked collectors and coin enthusiasts by being valued as high as $241 due to a range of minting errors and die anomalies that make it one of the most sought after error coins of the early 1990s. So if you love rare coin stories that might just lead you to fortune in your own coin jar, then stay tuned and don't forget to like and subscribe, because what you're about to hear is not only educational but could literally change the way you look at every quarter you see from now on, as the 1990D quarter holds a deep place in numismatic intrigue due to the uncommon and dramatic varieties and the stakes it exhibits across a number of verified specimens. And while millions of quarters were struck at the Denver Mint in 1990, only a small fraction of those carried the kinds of errors that have propelled the coin's value far beyond its 25-cent face value and into the hundreds of dollars in online marketplaces, auction houses, and private sales where error collectors aggressively bid on standout pieces. And part of what makes this coin so exciting is the range of documented minting flaws, which include double die obverse, double die reverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, partial collar strikes, clipped planchets, die clashes, strike-throughs, and even some incredible transitional planchet errors that have been authenticated by major grading companies such as PCGS and NGC. So let's walk through the details of why these errors matter and how they occur, beginning with the most famous error associated with the 1990D quarter: the double die obverse, which is identifiable by closely inspecting the inscriptions "Liberty in God We Trust" and the date, 1990, where you might see strong doubling, thickness in the letters, or a shadow-like duplication that results from a misalignment in the die creation process. And when such an error is present, it transforms the coin from a common piece of currency into a collector's gem, with prices climbing toward and even surpassing $200 for examples in high mint state condition. And then there are off-center strike errors where the die fails to hit the planchet squarely, leaving part of the design cut off or shifted, and these can range from minor, 5% off-center, to dramatic, 50% or more off-center, and the more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes, with 1990D quarters featuring such errors sometimes selling for over $180 depending on eye appeal and overall condition. Another major class of error is the broad strike, where the coin is struck without a retaining collar, leading it to spread out more than usual, giving it a warped or wider appearance. And while this might look like damage to the untrained eye, it is in fact a true mint error that happens when the machinery malfunctions during the striking process, and collectors go crazy for these when found in uncirculated condition, especially when all the details are fully struck despite the unusual shape. And it's not unusual for a 1990D quarter with a clean broad strike error to bring $150 or more at auction. Another jaw-dropping error is the clipped planchet, which occurs when a blank metal disc is punched from a sheet in such a way that a portion is missing, resulting in a curved clip along the coin's edge, or even multiple clips. And 1990D quarters with clean, crescent-shaped clips are highly collectible, especially when the error is dramatic and clearly identifiable, with values that often exceed $200 when slabbed and graded by professional services. And still more impressive are the strike-through errors, where foreign materials such as grease, cloth, wire, or debris interfere with the die's ability to impart the full design onto the planchet, leading to coins that have blank or distorted sections, and these one-of-a-kind specimens often carry high premiums, especially when the material that caused the strike-through is still embedded in the coin's surface, or when the distortion dramatically affects key elements like Washington's profile or the eagle on the reverse. And then there's the die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring parts of the design onto each other's surface and resulting in ghostly imprints visible in later strikes. And 1990 D quarters with strong die clash marks are popular with collectors because of their visual uniqueness and storytelling appeal. And the best part is that many of these errors are visible to the naked eye or with a simple 10x magnifying glass, so you don't need expensive equipment to start checking your change and identifying potential treasures. But perhaps the rarest and most intriguing variety of the 1990 D quarter are those believed to be struck on transitional or incorrect planchets, such as leftover blanks from previous or foreign coin programs, and although exceedingly rare, any 1990 D quarter that is underweight or overweight, either heavier than 5.67 grams or significantly lighter, should be weighed and tested immediately, because these are the kinds of errors that bring astronomical values far beyond $241 in the collector market, with known examples of wrong planchet errors from other coins like the Washington nickel or even copper penny blanks being documented in other coin years. And should any exist for the 1990 D quarter, they would be numismatic gold mines and highly sought after. But even common errors like rotated dies, where the front and back of the coin are misaligned when flipped, or missing letters or numbers due to grease-filled dies, can boost the coin's value well into the hundreds of dollars, especially if accompanied by high-grade, eye-catching luster or colorful toning. And collectors should also pay close attention to any unusual edge characteristics, such as reeded edges that fade or flatten midway, or edges that show partial color error, which leads to the so-called railroad rim appearance that is always in high demand. And the beauty of hunting for these valuable coins is that they remain in circulation even today, so there's a real possibility that you could find one of these rare 1990 D quarters in your pocket change, in a coin roll, or at the bottom of a forgotten jar, and that discovery could turn a single quarter into a coin worth up to $241 or even more if the error is dramatic, unique, or certified by a professional grading company. And for those who want to sell such coins, it's highly recommended to get them graded by PCGS and GC or ANAX, as encapsulated coins with documented errors command much higher prices and attract more serious bidders in both online and in-person auctions. And if you're buying instead of selling, make sure you purchase from reputable dealers or certified auction platforms, and always ask for close-up images and weight specifications to avoid counterfeits or post-mint damage being passed off as mint errors, because true mint errors have specific characteristics that experienced collectors and graders can distinguish immediately. And as more people become interested in numismatics and coin hunting, the value and visibility of coins like the 1990 D quarter will continue to rise, making now the perfect time to start looking through your change, educating yourself on what to look for, and sharing your finds with other collectors online through coin forums, Facebook groups, and YouTube communities where photos of rare errors often go viral and help others discover coins of their own. And remember, the most valuable 1990 D quarters are not necessarily the oldest or shiniest, but the ones that tell a story of minting machinery gone awry, of precision failing for just a fraction of a second, of errors that escaped quality control and circulated across the country, quietly building history until someone like you finds them and recognizes their worth. And that's the magic of coin collecting, and why we do what we do here every day. So like this video, subscribe to our channel, and never miss another opportunity to discover rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight, because you never know the next time you get a quarter in your change. It could be a 1990 D worth $241 because of its mint errors and mistakes, and that coin could be your ticket to becoming part of coin history. Last, today we're diving into one of the most underestimated yet remarkably fascinating coins in modern U.S. coinage history, the 1983 D Washington quarter, a coin struck at the Denver Mint that has quietly become one of the most intriguing discoveries for collectors and enthusiasts alike due to its array of rare errors, unique strike issues, and its special place in the timeline of American coin production. And believe it or not, despite its face value being just 25 cents, this specific coin has shown values climbing up to $109 in the collector's market, all because of rare mint mistakes, misstrikes, and transitional mishaps that most people would never spot without a trained eye. So stick around, because in this incredibly detailed breakdown we're going to explore everything you need to know about the 1983 D quarter. From its historical context and production background to the exact types of errors that give it value, how to spot them, and why this coin, though common in numbers, is exceptional in the world of error collecting. And as always, if you're passionate about coin hunting, hidden treasures, and learning how to turn everyday money into historical and collectible items worth much more than their face value, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives just like this, because now we're going to explore exactly what makes the 1983 D quarter such a numismatic powerhouse, beginning with the economic and minting backdrop of the early 1980s, which saw the U.S. Mint dealing with multiple technological and material changes after abandoning the use of silver in quarters and making adjustments to copper-nickel clad compositions, and this transition period led to many anomalies, particularly in the Denver Mint, where high-volume production and equipment were often resulted in imperfect strikes, rush die polishing, and lower quality control thresholds, especially for coins intended for mass circulation rather than collector sets. And the 1983 D quarter is a product of that environment, which explains the prevalence of several error types that continue to surface today, many of which are not only rare but visually striking and desirable for collectors worldwide who actively search rolls, estate sales, coin shows, and online platforms for example showing these mint-induced anomalies. And perhaps the most well-known and valuable type of error found on the 1983 D quarter is the double die verse, where the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1983 appear to be double due to a misalignment during the die creation process, which results in a second, ghost-like impression of the letters and numbers that can range from subtle to extremely bold, and coins showing strong doubling, especially in higher mint state grades, are known to reach prices of $80 to $109 depending on the strength of the doubling and overall eye appeal. And these are highly sought after because of the clear visual evidence of the minting flaw, which adds both historic and artistic uniqueness to the coin. But the double die isn't the only error known to this coin, as many collectors have documented significant off-center strikes where the coin design is not properly aligned with the planchet, leading to portions of the coin missing or pushed to one side, creating dramatic visual errors that stand out even to casual observers. And off-center strikes of 10% to 40% are most commonly found, though rarer and more valuable are the extreme off-center errors where nearly half of the coin is blank. These can command strong premiums, especially when the date remains visible, and such coins from 1983 D often sell between $90 and $109 in circulated condition, and higher if they show full original luster or are professionally graded. And then there's the broad strike error, where the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking is absent or malfunctioning, allowing the planchet to expand outward, giving the coin a flattened or pancaked appearance, which makes it look wider and sometimes softer in detail. And these broad-struck 1983 D quarters, when full in detail and not overly worn, are regularly bought by error collectors for anywhere from $70 to over $100 depending on the clarity of the strike and the presence of a full rim, which is surprisingly rare in these types of errors. And other popular errors include clipped planchets, which occur when the metal sheet from which blanks are punched is misaligned, causing some coins to be struck with crescent-shaped clips along their edges, and 1983 D quarters with clean, dramatic clips that do not remove critical design elements like the date or mint mark can reach values of $80 to $100 or more, particularly if they are certified and encapsulated by PCGS or NGC, both of which authenticate these errors and assign error-specific designations that enhance market value significantly. And in addition to these more commonly recognized errors, there are a number of lesser known but equally fascinating varieties, such as die cracks, which occur when aging dies begin to fracture, leading to raised lines across the coin's surface that can look like lightning bolts or rivers across Washington's face or the reverse eagle. And when these cracks are long, bold, and continuous across the design, they are called major die cracks, and are actively collected, especially when they cross key devices like the profile or wings. And then there are die chips, which are small blobs of extra metal that appear when pieces of the die break off and allow metal to fill those spaces during striking, and 1983 D quarters with prominent die chips in places like Washington's hair or the lettering are nicknamed with fun terms like CUD errors and often attract attention from collectors looking for quirky examples. And sometimes these chips appear in places that make it look like the coin has added design elements or unusual features that were never intended, and these oddities spark high interest on coin forums and social media platforms where photos of such errors frequently go viral and encourage others to check their change. And not to be overlooked are strike-through errors where a foreign object like grease, cloth, or other debris comes between the die and the planchet during striking, resulting in missing details or blank areas that can be extremely dramatic and are always one of a kind since no two strike-throughs look exactly the same and depending on severity. Such strike-through 1983 D quarters have sold for up to $109, especially when the struck-through area impacts the central portrait, or the eagle. And rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse are misaligned when the coin is flipped have also been found among 1983 D quarters, and these typically command values of $70 to $100 depending on the degree of rotation, with more extreme angles being more valuable. And although rare, there have also been reports of wrong planchet errors for this year. And mint, including coins struck on smaller dime-sized planchets or foreign coin planchets, which result in underweight quarters with incomplete rims and dramatic differences in thickness or coloration, and these are among the rarest of all, and if verified can fetch several $100s, making even the $109 average for common errors look modest by comparison. And what makes the 1983 D quarter particularly special in error circles is the fact that there were no official mint sets released for this year due to budget cuts and policy decisions at the U.S. Mint, meaning collectors at the time had no way to obtain high-quality examples from the mint itself, which drastically reduced the number of pristine examples in the wild and meant that any mint errors found had to come from circulation, making high-grade error coins from this year even more rare and desirable. And if you're looking to identify whether your 1983 D quarter might be valuable, the first step is to weigh it on a digital scale to confirm the proper weight of 5.67 grams, as any significant deviation could suggest a wrong planchet error. Then use a 10x magnifier to inspect the lettering for doubling, thickness, or shadowing, and examine the edge to ensure it has full reads unless you suspect a broad strike or partial collar error, which may alter that. And remember that condition still matters even for errors, so coins with sharp detail, strong luster, and minimal wear will always bring higher premiums and are more likely to be graded as MS62 or above, which can significantly enhance value. And for those who think they may have found something special, it's worth submitting the coin to a third-party grading service for authentication and encapsulation, which protects the coin and gives it credibility in the eyes of dealers and collectors who may be interested in buying. And while error coins from the 1980s have always enjoyed a steady base of interest, the last few years have seen a noticeable spike in prices and demand, especially for coins like the 1983 D quarter that combine error appeal with historical scarcity. And as the market continues to grow with new collectors entering the space, now is a perfect time to search your change, sort through old jars, buy quarter rolls from banks, and keep your eyes open at garage sales and estate lots where rare coins still turn up every day. And don't forget that part of the joy of collecting is the thrill of the hunt, the knowledge that every coin you touch could be something extraordinary.